Nintendo just made a lot of people unhappy, and this is what you can do to fix it. Hi guys, I'm the Hippie Hacker, and ever since I got my first Game Boy when I was 6 years old, I've been a big Nintendo fan. But Nintendo gaming as we know it is about to change. Nintendo just recently announced that within the next year they are going to be shutting down the 3DS and Wii U eShops. And while so many people are distraught about this announcement, it was kind of inevitable for it to happen. These eShops are being hosted on Nintendo servers, so logistically it makes sense for them to be shut down. I mean, after all, the 3DS is 11 years old now, and the Wii U is 10 years old, and 10-11 years gives users ample amount of room to download the titles that they want from the eShop. But a lot of people are seeing this as a big slap in the face for a few different reasons. One being that some eShop exclusive titles are going to be gone forever unless you purchase them from the eShop before they close down. And there are so many system-specific eShop exclusive titles that are coveted by the community, such as the Pushmo and the Box Boy series that many people adore. But once the eShop closes, these games are gone forever. Another reason why people are unhappy is that if you want to own any of the Virtual Console games, you're now going to have to purchase them before the eShop closes. And with Nintendo rolling out their new subscription service with select retro games, it also seems coincidental that they're now making Virtual Console games accessible through a paywall. And I think a lot of people are getting their feelings hurt now because the 3DS and the Wii U eShop were the last places that you could go to purchase the Virtual Console games and play them on a more modern console. And with all of these companies nowadays just switching over to subscription services rather than actually selling products for people to own, it seems that it's starting to cause tension between the business and the customers. Because it's like nowadays people don't have music collections. Instead, they are subscribed to a service provider like Spotify or Pandora. And the same can go with movies. And now we're starting to see it happen with video games. And from a business standpoint, it makes sense because in order for Nintendo to make their money, they have to keep up with the times. But as a customer, it can be very frustrating because now you're no longer owning any of your video games, especially if you're a gamer that prefers physical copies over digital copies. And the last reason that the eShop closure is making people upset is because some games that rely heavily on the eShop connection are no longer going to be playable. And for me, I relate heavily to this one because I never heard of the Nintendo Badge Arcade until I watched someone's eShop recommendations video. If you don't know what the Badge Arcade is, it's a crane game that relies 95% on in-game purchases. If you successfully pick up any of the badges with the crane, then you're rewarded with them to decorate your 3DS, 2DS home screen with. But this one makes me a little sad because I'm more of a completionist type, and with the Badge Arcade relying heavily on in-game purchases, it's very unrealistic for me to think that I can collect all 6,000 badges within a year. Now you could be thinking, Maddie, there's still hope, they could just make the badges free. Well, that's not the case. Reddit user 904funny discovered that in the game's files, there's dialogue saying that the game is no longer playable, aka it's useless. And in Nintendo's closure statement, they put Street Pass and the theme shop alongside with the Badge Arcade for titles that are going to be facing closures. So it's safe to assume similar situations for those titles as well. So if you want to know what you can do to make it past this situation, here are a few steps you can take. One is to make sure you have an upgraded SD card. 3DS and 2DS consoles can have their storage upgraded to 128 gigabytes, although it's not recommended. In my 2DS, I use a 32 gigabyte SD card, and even still, here and there, I notice some minor lags. If you're going to increase your storage, I recommend 32 gigabytes because you're still going to have plenty of space and still have hardly any lag. And if you aren't super tech savvy, 32 gigabytes does not require you to format your SD card. Next, you want to ensure that you download all the updates for your games. For me personally, I went and I downloaded every single update that exists on the eShop, just in case if I ever wanted to go back and play whatever game it may be. But to find all the existing software updates, just go to the eShop search tab and type in update. I believe there's only 4 pages that you need to go through to download all the updates, but I recommend doing this whenever you have some downtime because it does take a long time. And lastly, you're going to want to download any of the themes, eShop exclusive titles, or Virtual Console games that you may want to play in the future. Obviously, some of the software is actually going to cost money, it's not all free, but typically the eShop games run around $4 to $5 more or less. So if you have the funds to just go splurge and buy your games, do that. Otherwise, you can only add funds to your account with a credit card until May 23rd of this year. So you may want to prioritize some titles over the other, maybe try to figure out a budget plan if you're really desperate to do this. But ultimately, you just want to come up with a plan over the next year of how you're going to add money to your account and what titles you want. If you want a list of titles that I have on my 2DS, leave a comment down below and I may make a video separate for that. But overall, I hope this video helped inform you about the eShop closure and also helped assess the strategy you can take to own these video games. If you found this video helpful, it would mean a lot to me if you would drop a like and also subscribe to my channel for more tech content. And I'm Maddie, the hippie hacker, and I will catch you all on the flip side. Bye!